Welcome back to Jersey Matters. Crime statistics for 2020 are out, and most crimes during the pandemic have been down, but violent crimes are up. I spoke with Mercer County Prosecutor Angelo Onofre about those statistics. Sir, thank you so much for doing this. We really appreciate your time. The crime stats for the pandemic came out, and they were startling. I think that's the right word, in that some crimes were down, other crimes and violent crimes seemed to be up. And I know that you've seen that effect in your county.
Actually, we have, Larry. The decrease from about 170,000 reportable crimes last year to 150,000 this year doesn't really reflect the whole picture. This is one of those years where we really need to look at the violent crime numbers, where violent crime has increased. There's places where violent crime has gone down, but here in Mercer, it exploded.
Exploded to a record level, right?
It did. Just as an example, last year, we had 17 homicides in 2019. And in 2020, we had 40 in the city of Trenton and 41 in the whole county. That's a dramatic increase for us. And although it broke a record, it's not a record that we're proud of. But, our previous high had been 37, and that was back in 2013.
Have you seen a theme in these murders that might expose an underlying trend?
What we've noticed is that a lot of this was territorial, and the gang members believing that they were disrespected either on social media or in public. And several of the homicides that we solved, that was actually the impetus for it. And then you get the retaliation shootings that could also result in a homicide. And I think it was a lot of that. Plus, what we've discovered in talking with some of the defendants in this, a lot of it is they view this as a video game. They go out, they call it, they call it drill, like in the Call of Duty game. And they go out and they're looking for ops or opponents. And there's really no rhyme or reason. If there's somebody in a rival area and they saw them on the street, they were shooting. Right. Unfortunately, a lot of those resulted in homicides.
Yeah, that is absolutely frightening. And most of this is happening in Trenton?
It is.
I think the stats that you told me, I talked to you right before we started the interview, 41 in the county, 40 of those are in Trenton?
That's correct.
What other kind of crime? I mean, I can understand that burglaries are down only because people are home and businesses are closed. But what other crimes do you see on the increase?
What we've noticed this year have been a lot of internet scams, and telephone scams, whether it's calling to say, we're from the IRS, you owe us, and in order to prevent you from being arrested, you need to send us this money or give us your social security number. We've also seen a dramatic increase in the number of online child predators that are involved. And I think that's also, while burglaries have gone down because people are home, the child predators, because the students were learning virtually, they were spending more time online. And it appears that they've been chatting with more people. And you frequently get that request, please send me a naked picture of you. Please, do this kind of thing. And it's there's been a real big increase in that. And it's really kept our Internet Crimes Against Children unit very busy and active.
That's great information, especially for parents, because kids are home all day long and playing video games all day long. I have two teenagers that are doing that right now. With that information, they should be talking to their children, I would say.
Absolutely, Larry. This is a point where the parents need to know what their child's online profile is. This can lead to a lot of trauma. It's very difficult to scrub the internet once those photos are out there. And it's something that can cause a lot of embarrassment and trauma for the child if that picture gets out.
We talked about the increase in certain crimes. Is it more difficult to investigate crimes during a pandemic?
The police officers and the detectives from my office have been doing a phenomenal job. They really haven't let COVID slow them down. Is it more difficult? A little bit. You've had some police departments that have had significant outbreaks of COVID where a lot of their department was down and they were at bare minimum staffing levels for any particular shift.
Do you have a concern that with this uptick in violent crime in Trenton and throughout Mercer County, that this may be a prelude of things to come, especially when you talk about retaliation?
We hope not. And I think a lot of this is that we have a lot of the people who are doing the shooting in custody now. And because of New Jersey's bail reform law, they're being held without bail pending trial. So because of that, I think we've taken a lot of the violent people off the street. We're never going to be able to prevent a homicide, particularly the ones that occur indoors. And a lot of it is that the police happen upon it. So it's very difficult to prevent. But the detectives and the officers are solving the cases.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for your time. Mercer County Prosecutor Angelo Onofre, coming up next.
Larry, New Jersey residents voted to legalize adult use marijuana, but when will they actually be able to purchase it here in the Garden State? We'll visit that situation coming up.